Hi, I'm Kerry Grinkmeyer. I'm host of Best of Us Investors. I've been at this investing game for most of my life, and I'm 77 years old, so I've got a lot of experience. My attitude towards investing has changed dramatically, though, over the last year, as I've had more time to study it and more time to develop a strategy based on what is no longer your grandfather's stock market or even your father's stock market. The market has changed in the way that you should invest. We used to think about its influence by interest rates and valuations and inflation and job reports, but it's not. The market is driven by change. And what I want to do in this video is prove to you that it is driven by change and how you should change your attitude about how you invest. I'll take you through what I have learned step by step, and then you make a decision. If you make a decision that I have some sense and I know what I'm talking about, and you can profit from it, then subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, and let's work together to make good investment decisions. This is not financial advice, however. I used to be a financial advisor, and that was where I said, diversify, diversify, diversify. No. It's about investing in change, and the change is coming faster than you think. We'll get right into it.
Best of Us Investors presents Kerry Grinkmeyer.
Okay, as I say, I have become an avid student of the stock market. I have realized I cannot compete with Wall Street because of their quantum computers and their trading in the millisecond. I can't compete with them, so I have to play a different game. So I've looked back and said, okay, let me come to a better understanding of how the stock market is working today, not last year or a decade ago, how it's working today and how I can profit off of it. So let me show you this chart that I have created, this graph. No, it's a chart of that basically says that the stock market is driven by change. Take a look at this. I start with when I was basically looking into the market when the internet revolution changed. I believe it has changed the stock market dramatically. And as you can see, I'm showing you the S&P 500. And then as we went into the e-commerce revolution, the social media revolution, and now we're in the big data, artificial intelligence, and the EV revolution. And I believe the next revolution will come to that of healthcare. Now, then what I said was, let me drill down a little bit further and figure out this a little more. So I want to show you then this chart. It is a derivative of the first chart I showed you. What I have added to it, however, is the NASDAQ 100. And you can see I am showing you here the same chart I showed you with the S&P. That's the red and green jagged line. And then I'm showing you the Dow. And you can see that the S&P 100 has just totally outperformed. So why would I diversify? Why would I invest in the S&P 500? Why would I invest in the Dow? Why would I invest in any index fund other than the NASDAQ 100? Because as you can see, as we went down this path, once we got to the .com era, the e-commerce and 2000, we see that it separated. Now, it got out of line and came back, but then started to follow it. But now, as we're getting into big data and we're getting into artificial intelligence, it has separated itself dramatically. So I say, okay, if that's what's happened if this chart represents the last 20 years and what I'm looking at, this separation in the last 10 years, I need to be in the NASDAQ 100. So then I said to myself, okay, let's separate it even a little bit further. And here again, I'm showing you the S&P and the Dow. That's that orange line that just isn't going anywhere along the bottom. And this is a 20-year chart that shows the specific beneficiaries of the digital revolution, Microsoft and Apple. Kind of blew me away, the separation between Microsoft and Apple. I would have thought Apple was up that higher. So then I said, let's dig a little deeper and look at more like a 10-year chart and look at Microsoft and Apple. Those are the blue line and the orange line down there, and then that's flat line is the Dow Jones Industrial and the S&P 500. But look at Netlist or at Nvidia and Tesla. So what that's telling me is that, yeah, the NASDAQ is doing well and will do well, but I need to identify the change on at least a 10-year basis. I believe it's coming down to more like a 5-year basis. So I can't, if I want to make exponential growth, I can't be involved in the indexes. I can't be involved in the old stocks. I need to identify those stocks that are going to be the Nvidias and the Teslas. Now I want you to see something else. If in the early 80s I had seen the digital revolution and recognized that Apple and Microsoft were going to be the leaders in that, and I had put $10,000 into each one and just left it there, the Apple would have turned into 18 million and the Microsoft would have turned into 33 million. If then I watched and saw the e-commerce revolution coming and put $10,000 into Amazon, that would have turned into another $6 million. And then if I had read the right books and recognized the future of semiconductors and chips and recognized the big data, the artificial intelligence revolution, and invested in Nvidia, $10,000, that would have turned into another $3.6 million. And then if I had recognized the EV revolution and in 2010 invested $10,000 into Tesla, that would have turned into another $2 million. If I had seen those changes coming and invested $50,000 in 5 stocks and just left them alone, because you can see in these numbers, they went through some doubtful times. They lost 50% of their value at some times. But I would have over $64 million today. Well, is there anything I can learn from that? Well, yeah, there is. What is the change of today? Well, again, go back if you're old enough and remember, what were they talking about on the news? Was the news telling us about the World Wide Web back in the 80s? Was the news telling us about this e-commerce that was coming available? Could I have read about that in the Wall Street Journal? Have I been notified about Nvidia? Was I aware that we were going to electric cars? Well, of course I was. But my mind had to be set at what is the next change. And so I'm asking you, what do you think the next change is that I could put $10,000 into and it could turn into $6 million? What is the next change? Well, what is the most reported on issue on our news every night? Well, it's healthcare. It's the coronavirus. It's been going on for 2 years. And every dollar that anybody can raise is saying this can never happen again. And we've got to correct it. So if I know that, if I know the stock market is really not going to be dependent on interest rates and inflation and employment and valuations, but instead it's going to grow exponentially on whoever corrects this healthcare problem that we have, that we call the coronavirus, or that we call cancer, or that we call heart disease. The three biggest killers in the United States today: heart disease, cancer, and the coronavirus. If we have people working on correcting those, is it potentially bigger than Microsoft? If I put $10,000 into that category, could I come out with another 33 million? Yes. The question is, which are the companies and how long will it take? I personally believe I know who the companies are. I've told you about them in the past, and I think it'll take about 5 years. But I think in my case, I have $260,000 invested in this category. I believe I will have somewhere in the neighborhood of $260 million by 2030, possibly by 2025. It all depends on how fast NVIDIA's artificial intelligence chips come up with the answers to how do we make genome sequencing and genome therapy work. To me, it's that simple. That's what I'm going to devote this channel to. That's what I'm going to devote my tribe to. I have a group of people that's what we talk about. And if you would like to join that group, if you'd like to say, wow, if I could be a part of a group who could identify the stocks that could turn $50,000 into $60 million in my lifetime, because that's what happened, I want to be a part of it. I want to be a part of it. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to focus my energy on making sure I've got the right stocks in the healthcare revolution, and I'm inviting you to come join me. Just go to bestofusinvestors.com, sign up, give me your name and your email address, come join, pay $10 a month, $120 a year, and see if you can't make $64 million off of this change. Now, is that the only change? No. We've got a broken supply chain. That change has to occur. We've got a cybersecurity problem. That change has to occur. It has absolutely nothing to do with Jerome Powell and his interest rates. You are not going to be able to stop this medical revolution train. It's coming as much as the digital revolution came, as the e-commerce revolution came, as the semiconductor chip came, as the EV revolution came. You aren't going to be able to stop it. So why don't you get on the train? Come to Best of Us Investors, and let's take this ride together. Talk to you again tomorrow.